Today I'd like to share with you how I tied my favorite stonefly, the GPS Stonefly Nymph. This is a pattern that's created out of some new ideas and some old ideas that I merged together and came up with a great stonefly pattern that is dark on the top and light on the bottom. Years ago, George Harvey tied a fly called Harvey's Stonefly Nymph that had a light yellow belly and a dark brown top made out of chenille. I've taken some modern materials like CDC dubbing, and goose biots, and use a little turkey tail and have created a similar looking fly that has much better movement in the water. So I'm going to go over the materials needed to tie the fly, and we start out, we're going to use some turkey tail, which is going to be our back of the stone fly. We're going to rivet with some gold wire. You're going to need some heavy lead wire. This is 20 thousandths wire. The legs are going to be partridge or grouse, whatever you have in your fly tying supply. I like to use a Tiemco 2302 hook. Best sizes seem to be 10 and 12. Some bead heads. These are nymph head beads, which are really nice heavy tungsten beads. I use some yellow CDC dubbing for the belly of the stonefly nymph, and this is from Trout Hunter, very nice dubbing. The wing case is going to be some medallion sheeting in a dark brown, and the tails are going to be dark brown goose biots. So we're going to take all these materials, and I'm going to show you step by step how to tie this fly. I've got my bead inserted on the hook and pushed up to the eye. And the nice thing about these bead heads, they have little eyes on them, and you can take your magic marker and color them in, and it just gives it another little realistic look to the fly. Once you've got your bead in place, we're going to wrap our thread behind the bead. What I do is I wrap about 3/4 of the way down the hook shank. And one of the secrets to this fly is we're going to take some cotton and actually dub it onto the hook or onto the thread and build it up on the hook shank, and it's going to let us take our lead wire and flatten it out. And that's a good old trick for making a really wide, flat-bodied nymph. So we're going to wrap that cotton up to behind the bead, and that'll give us our cotton base. Take a nice strip of wire, lead wire, and I tie mine in right behind the bead, and that kind of locks that bead in place, keeps it from sliding around. Alright. Once we got our lead wire in place, we're going to wrap down over the cotton. As we get towards the end, it tapers down. Use your thumbnail and break that off. Wind our thread down through the wire. That'll keep it in place, keep it from sliding around. And we're going to build up a little tapered mound of thread here behind the lead wire to get a nice smooth transition from the lead down onto the hook. Now we're going to have to tie in our tail. So we're going to take our goose biots. So I've got 2 goose biots that I'm going to use for the tail. I'm going to lay one on an angle so it sticks out, about a 45 off the back of the hook. Take our other biot. Kind of get it positioned where we want it. Tie that in place. And just wrap those butt ends down so they don't stick out. And now we've got a nice tail for our stonefly. Now I gotta take some of this turkey tail cut a strip out of it. We want that strip probably to be about 1/8 of an inch wide, maybe a little bit more. Kind of depends on the hook size that you're using. Sometimes you just measure by eye. We tie our turkey in, and that's going to be our back of our fly. We'll fold that over in a few minutes. I'm going to take some of the gold wire, tie that in. That's going to be our ribbing. Now, we're going to need to dub a generous amount of the CDC dubbing on the thread for our body. And it dubs real easy. It's kind of buggy and fluffy, which is what you want because that helps make the gills on the stonefly nymph. That's why I chose the CDC dubbing for this fly. And in the end, we're going to pick it out and really make it buggy looking. Cover that lead up. That lead will sometimes show through a little bit when the fly gets wet, so you want to make sure you have plenty of dubbing on the body and in the thorax of the fly. But it's not the end of the world if a little bit shows through, because when you look at a stonefly, there's definitely markings, that show up on the belly of the fly as well. Take a couple turns over that turkey and hold it down. Trim off those butt ends. We're just going to evenly space our gold wire up the back of the nymph. That gives you a nice ribbing, nice segmentation. You can kind of see how this is shaping up.